Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast that unites the worldwide fan base of champions Celtic. From Postle Park to Poitiers, Lennoxtown to Limoges, you're part of A Celtic World, wherever you're joining us from. And as you may have noticed, there's a French theme in today's intro, and that's in honour of our special guest today, making the leap from live chat column to the main stage, Kristoff Rodgers. Kristoff, bienvenue au monde celtique.
Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be with you today. A special day, a celebration
It's a special day, special time for you to be with us, absolutely. This is Kristoff, everyone. There's people saying hello to you in the chat. People who you're usually in amongst.
All smiling people, all smiling Celtic supporters. I love you all.
Very good. And speaking of love, who else do we have in the chat? We have the manly presence that is Steve, joining us from his new home. How's it going, Steve?
Yeah, all right. Not been on for a while, been a few weeks. So there's a bit happened since I was last on. So looking forward to chatting again about the things that I've missed.
And you're in your new gaff. How's that
yes,
going?
I am. Yeah, it's going all right. We've downsized from a house to a unit, so all the fun about getting rid of all the stuff you've accumulated over the past 20 years. So not a stress-free experience, but it's all done now, and can't beat living close to the water. The location's just brilliant, so we're really loving it.
Brilliant. And Ian checking in from Cardiff, who might need to hop off if we overrun today. Ian, what are you saying, blood?
Hey, I'm good. Unfortunately, I'm feeling a bit sick though from all the humble pie I've had to eat over the last 12 hours. But yeah, no, it's a good it's a good day, isn't it? It's a good day to be a Celtic fan. Every day's good, but today's especially good.
Do we need to reserve some of the show for the humble pie moment, or
no? I think
Yeah,
do you know what? I started drafting an apology letter to Brendanrodgers, and then I thought, no, it's like it becomes too much about me. I think,
it's not about you, Ian.
I know if I see him, I'll say sorry. I've said sorry online, and I'll say sorry here when the opportunity comes up. But yeah, we are where we are.
Okay. Well, look, this is the plan for today. First of all, we're going to look at the scenes of joy and celebration, first of all, and all the emotion. Then we'll have a quick chat to Kristoff, find out about how come he's a Celtic fan, where is he, a little bit about his sort of connections with Scotland and the game of football. And then we'll talk about the game in a little less detail than normal, I think. We'll just talk about the goals, basically, without going through it with a fine-tooth comb. And then if we've got time, a little section called Speculation Corner, where we talk about players in and out and the future and the Champions League and all that stuff, if we get to it. So hello to everyone in the chat. How are you doing? I think Kristoff's presence shows you that we truly are a Celtic world, and it's exciting that he's joining us today. And we're not just a bunch of little closed group of friends doing a show for people to watch. It's it
does show that there's a pathway to the first team, isn't there?
That's
unlike
a good
us, we're prepared to take a chance on the. Well, I hesitate to say youth, but people who maybe on the sidelines.
Very good. All right. Well, shall we start then with the scenes of jubilation that we've all been drinking in the past few days? Did you see this? This wasn't actually at the end of the game. This was the handing over of the captain's armband, like I sometimes do to you, Stephen, when I want you to host the show. And I'm not sure if I have the same look of adoration in my eyes as McGregor does to Joe there, but what do you think of that?
yeah, everybody should have someone in their life that looks at them the way Callum McGregor looks at Joe Hart there. A really wholesome moment, and amongst a whole load of wholesome moments from the game last night, well, this morning here, and it was just fantastic. I think that was just a real mark of respect between the captain and the vice captain, and the whole thing had Joe Hart front and centre in the whole celebration, and I think it shows you how much regard he's held in by the rest of the team.
Absolutely. Kristoff, here are those same two gentlemen after the game in front of the fans. Did you look at all these scenes after the game, and have you been on social media?
I watch all the game on TV, and after the game, they let all the scenes like that, and it was amazing. I was on my room, and wow. Live Celtic supporter was on the game, was on the street, was everywhere I go. After I saw smiling people, happy people.
Yeah.
And as General de Gaulle said, for the war, he said, it will be hard, it will be long, but at the end, we will win. That's the case.
Yeah, very good. Didn't think General de Gaulle would have been getting a quote, but you live to be surprised. Here are the scenes outside Celtic Park. Did you see this one? Paul brought this to my attention. What kind of dog is that? Anybody know, Ian?
No. No, I'm not a dog aficionado. What I would say about the scenes at Celtic Park, I think that's, probably like sometimes being away from Glasgow, you do miss going to the games, but obviously we got to games occasionally. You can travel over to games. I think when you start to see the stuff outside the stadium, and it's like people who live close enough to kind of walk down or like drive down and stuff, that's probably the things that you miss the most, those kind of spontaneous moments where everyone's gathered around the stadium. Like that's probably like seeing all that was fantastic. And yeah, I was jealous of the people that managed to kind of get down, even though I'd probably be half asleep. At that time, because I'm an old codger now. But yeah.
Very good. Oh, sorry, I thought I'd come back to that. Cougar after the game and the pyro's out, Stephen. Oh. So this.
Yeah, no pyro, no party. I think it was funny, wasn't it, that the pyro actually burned through the sound cables of the Sky broadcaster. I don't know if you're watching the game on Celtic TV, but I ended up watching it on Sky, and they were trying to interview Brendan Rodgers after the game, but they couldn't hear him. There was no sound, and they pointed out later that one of the flares had burned through their sound equipment. So, nice little funny moment there. But yeah, it was quite iconic scenes, I reckon, and we do love a title win down at Kilmarnock. I think that's the third or the fourth in the last 15 years that we've clinched down there. So we're becoming very adept at it.
Kristoff, do you appreciate Brendan's dancing skills there? People from like my part of the world aren't really known as being particularly good movers. It's good to see him joining in, is it not? Kristoff.
I think he has got a lot of questions since he's to Celtic team. Maybe it's all the frustration he can have during all this season.
Yeah.
That he be part of that. But Is it communication? Is it real? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I hope.
Well, the stress is certainly lifted. And here's all the boys enjoying themselves. You seen these pics? Lots of happy faces there. Oh, at the center of the celebration scene, there's always one guy who's at the middle of it, and you think, come on, dude. You know?
Yeah, I would
Really?
just think you've got to admire the balls on Benji Segrist, who was also, very
He's at the
heavily
heart of
involved
it.
in these celebrations, and he spent the whole year basically flying back and forward to Australia to be with his Instagram model girlfriend. So, 10 out of 10 for boldness for turning up at the title party.
What I would say about these sort of things is, and Rodgers has commented on himself, he said he attributed a large part of the coming through the tough times was the guys who were left out had a great attitude and kept the training at a very high level. So I think sometimes we can look at this and think, oh, well, we've not seen or we've not seen Lager Bielka or Rocky or whatever, as much, and they're enjoying it. But I think, as Rodgers has said, there's a lot of hard work that's gone on behind the scenes on the training pitch day to day that's put us into this position. So I think when they're celebrating this sort of thing, whilst they might not have had the minutes on the pitch, I think the squad looks pretty united, and I think that can only come from everyone at least doing their job, even when they're not getting selected. So I wouldn't begrudge anyone celebrating this. And you've got guys like Stephen Welsh, right? I mean, he's a massive Celtic fan. This is like, if we were all there, I'd be right in amongst it if I was in the dressing room if I hadn't kicked a ball.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That is true. Here's a quick question. Where did I see that question? Oh, yeah. Kristoff, who are your French team?
My first team, Celtic. And my French team is Paris Saint-Germain.
Oh. I thought you were going to go for like an obscure one, a Saint-Etienne or something.
Saint-Etienne, when I was a child, they are the most famous team in France. But now Saint-Etienne, hope they will join the League One this year, but it's not sure.
Okay. Now then, what's next? After the player celebrations, oh yes, there's a few more little pre-game things to run through here. First is I want to give a shout out to the aforementioned Celtic TV. I didn't watch the game live. I woke up in the morning and didn't look at my phone and took a shower and still didn't look at my phone and didn't speak to anyone. Turned my computer on through squinty eyes, so I didn't want to, in case anything popped up in my cache, and quickly opened Celtic TV, and you're met with this message. This game's recently finished. Would you like to hide any content that may suggest the result of the match? Yes, I want to watch the game not knowing anything. I don't want to know anything. And then this is what you get. Loads of interviews, champions again. Interviews with like 6 different players. So as soon as this came up, I'm like, for God. Well, I know
this
the
is
outcome.
The channel that employs
ultimately.
Jerry McCulloch, to be fair. So
that was a bit annoying. So that was all for nothing. Trying because I knew the ultimate outcome. I didn't know if we'd won or drawn or whatever. But anyway, if they're going to do that, do it right. If you're going to do it right. As what great philosopher once wrote. French CSC, they were also complaining about the Tommy Burns tribute, the fact they couldn't see it because their link went down at the time. I don't think this is Celtic TV's doing, by the looks of that error message.
Yeah, but, it was the Celtic TV feed that went down.
Or was it at this stage?
Down a few. Yeah, it went down a few times during the game. Apparently, I was switching between the two, and at one time, I don't know when it came back up, but it was down for a few right at the start. In fact, I missed the first goal. I missed the opening goal because the Celtic TV feed was down. Yeah,
San Fran Celtic. I feel your pain. He's in a bad marriage with Celtic TV. Frank Brennan asking, did I not speak to anyone in the shower? No, I'm just in a bad marriage. Oh, no. Paul Massey says, the Celtic TV 4 times in the first half. Mickey got the same message in Italy of all the times for it to be a disaster.
I think the problem is as well, I think it's getting, it's one of these things, there's a number of problems with Celtic behind the scenes in general, different bits and pieces. I think Celtic TV is probably one of the worst things, especially when, look, Gav, you can organise a podcast with us to broadcast to people, on like an absolute fraction of any budget that Celtic might have for like one broadcast. So it just seems crazy that it's such a substandard service. And also, I think as well, for the money that they charge, there's not as much exclusive content as you would expect from that sort of thing. So I think it's odd, but I did joke about, it's the channel that employs Jerry McCulloch, but I think that is kind of like indicative. I really don't think they put a lot of time and effort into making it the best they can be. They're just happy to kind of cash the checks and not really give the service. That's the impression I get. People could disagree in the comments or they could agree, but that's the general vibe that I get.
What about the general vibe put out by this man? This is Boydie.
Boydie.
He disappeared at the end. Everyone was waiting for him because Sky, McFadden and Lenny stayed to kind of interview everyone, etc. Boyd, I think, was just on his toed up in that seat, and then he ran away.
That's a tweet from Paradise Plaques. Look at him sit. Look at the shape of him. There's a brilliant comment here. Look at that. Look at the comment at the bottom.
Like I'm not gonna defend Chris Boyd here at all.
Good,
but I think having Chris Boyd standing alongside Neil Lennon, James McFadden, in front of all the Celtic supporters with flares was probably not the wisest thing to do in the world. So I can understand the thinking behind that. And I wouldn't fancy his chances getting out of there without getting basically set alight, to be honest with you.
Are we allowed to swear, Gav? We are allowed to swear, aren't we?
Sure.
Because I just find he's just a bit of a shite bag, isn't he? Because he's on all of our like Sky games trying to wind us up, giving out and stuff like that. And then at the moment that he has to come and take his medicine, just a shite bag, and he runs away. It's very like Rangers fan thing to do. But I'm always disappointed in these sort of people, because I would imagine if roles were reversed and it was Chris Sutton, he would have no problem being the one that would be present in there, because he's not a shite bag like Boyd, who is a shite bag.
Well, let's move on to this. Ploy CSE today, we're remembering Tommy Burns. This one I found quite emotional, this AI thing, because, it's AI where it's, this can only exist, this image, when it's created, and that's quite sad. Here was the amazing Tifo playing for a people and a cause.
What fantastic Tifo for the teammate. Imagine you need any more motivation to get across the line. And I saw Hatate, because I saw Hatate looking at it, and just a bit of kind of, you could see it even took him back, as in what a display and all the kind of emotion around it. So I think, fantastic. Well done to the guys for organising that, because they, it's not, as you can see from other clubs, it's not an easy thing to do and organise, and it really does, it adds to everything.
Stephen, you sometimes get a bit choked up when it comes to the subject of Tommy Burns.
Yeah, it is still a very raw event in the minds of a lot of Celtic fans, but particularly ones of my age who grew up with Tommy Burns as a Celtic player, then a manager. And I get choked up a bit when I see these sorts of displays. I did hear an interview with Brendan Rodgers. I don't know if it was after or before the game, and he was talking, paying tribute to Tommy Burns, and he actually pointed out that if Tommy Burns had still been alive today, they'd been 67 years old. And 67 being a very iconic number among Celtic fans. I think that was probably quite fitting as well. But it was nice of Brendan to mention that. But yeah, Tommy Byrne's a guy that will always be remembered very fondly by all the Celtic supporters, even by those who are too young to have seen him as a player or a manager.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the pre-game stuff. So now we're going to quickly just turn our attentions to Kristoff. Kristoff, tell us, where are you in France, first of all?
I'm in center of France, a small village named Saint-Chartier, near from La Châtre, a city the most near from me.
Is La Châtre a city?
Ouais, a small
town.
city. That's for 4,000 people, maybe.
Yeah, carry on. I'm just showing a few images. So you're right in the middle of France, far from the sea.
On 300 kilometers, more or less.
What's the significance of this building?
I think it's some
sort of chateau.
Ouais, jail, maybe. Ancient jail.
Ancient jail.
Maybe.
Okay. And talk us through how come you have such an interest in Celtic and Scotland. And maybe if I show this image, it might get the ball rolling.
I think I was born with DNA Celtic.
Oh, yeah.
I always having a passion for Scotland and Celtic. I don't know why. Maybe when I discover football, the oldest speak about Celtic, legendary team in France. So maybe that's why I've got this interest, but I think really I was born with DNA Celtic. That's not possible because there's no explication. It's like that.
And who's this chap you're having a pint with?
That's it's like a real brother. C'est Kevin. I met him in a tobacco bar in France. The day I was a little bit drunk. And I saw this guy alone with a Celtic t-shirt. So I came and tell him, hello, I'm Kristoff. I'm Celtic supporter. I love your t-shirt. I want him. Like that. We drink a few beers. And the guy tell me, come tomorrow morning. I will introduce you my wife, Annette. Top of the table. Voilà. I done it. And I went home. The day after, I come to the tobacco bar, and there was Kevin and his wife Annette with a t-shirt cleaned, and he gave me his t-shirt. Wow, thanks a lot. After this guy invite me in Scotland because I tell him my dream was going to a Celtic Rangers game. It was in 2006. He invited me in Scotland with one of my friends, and he gave us, Annette and him, their season tickets to see Celtic Rangers in Paradise, in Parkhead. And his wife and him went to a pub to see the game. So he realized my dream.
Wow. Very good.
Kevin.
Very good. There you are again. And is Kevin involved in another podcast, did you tell me?
No, his nephew, Franny, is in Endless Sales podcast. And I'm a little small publicity for them. Nice guy. But Celtic, voilà, c'est... I saw
this
2
is
games.
your football career. We're just going to run through your football career very quickly. Can everyone spot where Kristoff is in this photo?
I
assume.
That's me.
Were you a good player in your day?
No. No.
Here you are again.
No, sorry, no.
Well, you've got a footballer's haircut, at least.
Moods.
Okay, very good. Sounds like Kristoff ran into a great lad. And you're being compared to Zidane.
Oof.
Very good. All right, well, it's great to have you. And
Thanks.
We're all Celtic fans, and we're here on a very special day, obviously. We're talking about the game that won us the league in the end, got us over the line. So let's look back at that game, not in incredible detail, not with every incident that happened, but we'll at least look at the goals. So, didn't take us long to get off the mark. 4 minutes. Ida goal after lovely O'Reilly ball. Steve?
Yeah, this was the first of many big contributions by Adam Ida, who I thought had a fantastic game. Raised a few eyebrows, I think, before that he was included in front of Kyogo, who's been playing well. But I think within 5 or 10 minutes of the game starting, he justified his selection. Won the ball in our own half in a physical challenge with the command defender. One that had Chris Boyd in particular whining about fouls and all the rest of it. It was never a foul, though. It was just a physical tussle between two physical players. He's carried the ball up the park all the way to the box and fed a ball wide to O'Reilly, made his way into the box. And O'Reilly's just made a little bit of space and just put the ball into a fantastic area. And it was really, from there, it's a tap-in for Ida. But it all came down to his first work to win the ball and get it up the park. And second to Matt O'Reilly's fantastic ball across goal.
Absolutely. A couple of comments here. Fair play to Brendan for giving Ida the opportunity to shine. Oh, not that one. Ida was like prime Ronaldo, like the original Ronaldo, fenomeno. But he's Irish, obviously, so he should be fenomeno. I think that's what I'm going to call him from now on. He was absolutely amazing. I thought every time the ball came up to him, he did wonderful things. It's just so impressive. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Well, I could believe it, but we've seen glimpses of that, but he showed it throughout. I mean, the whole of the first half, he was very good. Was he not, Ian?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was a bit of nerves in our CSC beforehand, but remarkably, I was pretty calm because of Ida, because I thought that is the move, because the problem with our previous games against Kilmarnock is having the ball kind of stick and not come back to us all the time. So it seemed like a good choice, and it was kind of almost felt odd that choice had been made. So I was pretty calm about it. But obviously, for him to go out and start the way he did, he had some great touches. He was shielding them off, and what you kind of noticed immediately was Kilmarnock players were trying to go down, but when they're the same size as Ida, the referee was like, "Well, no, I'm not." Like Steve was saying, it's just a physical battle. It's not a foul. If they want to get tight and try and get into people, like they did with, I don't know if we'll discuss it, but like they did with Hatate on multiple occasions and stuff like that, they've kind of got to let some stuff go. So no, I thought he was fantastic.
Just on Adam Ida again for a minute. Adam Ida's contribution since he signed for Celtic has been absolutely immense. When you think about the 2 goals he scored at Easter Road against Hibs in a game that we were absolutely terrible. Another late winner against Motherwell. The 3rd goal, which ultimately got us a draw at Ibrox. And, he's been phenomenal to the point where you'd have to say his signing has been pivotal to us winning the league. Not on its own, but it's certainly a huge contributory factor. And you know, if there's any debate about whether we should try to sign him on a permanent deal, surely that's gone now. Surely everybody can see he's made to play for Celtic. And I think if you ask Brendan Rodgers to create his perfect footballer and manufacture him in a factory, I think he'd come up with something like Adam Ida. Big, strong, physical, quick, great first touch and with an eye for goal. So I really hope we can get a permanent deal done over the summer, and I think we will.
I think the question that will be asked about him is, like, how many more gears does he have to go up? Because I think obviously he's come in and given us something completely different, and Rodgers has identified that, and that's why he's gone and got it. That's why he's deployed him in certain games in the way he has, because he's like, we need this, and he knows, like, we've kind of got the same player in O, but O doesn't even have that baseline of ability. So the question, I think, becomes, is there'll obviously be a case of budget, but do we think that Ida can keep on going up levels? Because he has done well, you know, but he has been a little bit patchy. And if we are like looking to invest that money and go into the Champions League, Rodgers has to see in him that he can go up a couple of levels. And I think if Rodgers sees that, I think that there's no doubt, because even at a domestic level, even just have him in the squad to do something different, he's done the job that's been asked and more.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing then, among what you said there, or one of the interesting things, is that if Brendan thinks that, because Brendan's said a few things during the course of the season that I've scoffed at, or people have raised their eyebrows at. You know, way back at the start of the season, he started saying, "Oh, I like Liam Scales as central defender." We were all like, "What are you talking about?" But he identified that he was going to, you know, play him there. He was going to do a job for us this season. He totally did. We doubted him a bit when he said James Forrest was the best winger at the club. We were all like wondering at the time when he said that, what does he mean by that? Why is he saying that? Look what Forrest has done since. And so I don't doubt Brendan when he talks up Adam Ida. He sees his skill set, mentality, personality, and he'll be definitely a Brendan signing, as Stephen says. So I'm certain he's going to be a Celtic player next year. And he looks to me like the player who can be coached to higher and higher levels. And I'm very excited about it. Kristoff, are you on the Adam Ida train?
The problem in football is where you're a striker, you have to score goals. Yesterday, he do a job. Yesterday, for me, it was maybe his better performance in Celtic team. All good choice, always in the good part of the field. All was good yesterday. All.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see next year if Brendan stay first and what will be his plan for the next season. But according to me, good guy, good spirit. So why not?
Okay. Kristoff, can you, when you're speaking into that, can you hold it a little bit to the side so the air doesn't go straight in? That makes it better for the listener. Let's look at this goal. Johnson on 11 minutes crossing for Maeda. Ian, talk us through this. Yeah,
what you don't see now, is this the one where Hatate slips? Yeah.
That's
so,
what you do see.
Yeah, so the good build up player, because Hatate sells the dummy, and then what a ball through. I mean, like that is why we've missed Hatate, because his ability to do that, because it lays it on the plate for Johnson, who fires it across, and then comes Maeda. And you know, one of the things to remember is Maeda was like done with a hamstring 3 or 4 weeks ago. Like he was in dead and buried for the season, and then he's like Lazarus, isn't he? He's come back, risen from the dead, and he's haunted James Tavernier, and he's like still motoring. So yeah, like it's difficult to maybe get massively excited over tap-ins, but the way that goal was worked, And it's the same thing with the last one, right? The ball from O'Reilly is just absolutely is perfect. So the build up to these goals are as good as you've seen.
I think it's all right to say it was a tap in, but it's something we've been lacking all season long. Is wide players getting into the box and getting any positions like that. And he gambled. He took up a central space in the goal mouth, and he got his body right across the front of the defender. So the defender, if he was going to get anything on the ball, he would have to go through him and give away a penalty. So I thought it was fantastic play from Maeda, and he has been. You're absolutely right, and he's been exceptional in the final third of the season since he's come back from the Asian Cup. And to come back like that from a potentially season-ending hamstring injury is just brilliant. And again, he just makes us a better team. It's sometimes a little bit intangible to say what he actually brings to the team, but it's just his energy and work rate, and we are just a better team with him in it.
Well, two of the stars of the show combined really well for the next goal then. Adam Idah, who plays so well with his back to goal. He's so strong. He holds the players off. He keeps possession. And then he shows another side to his game here by not passing out wide like we see all the time, just to the player. But he sticks it into space and says, go on, Maeda. You exploit that space. Get on the end of that. Clever pass there, Kristoff. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I don't understand what you're speaking about. I was reading the chat. Sorry.
Okay, here, at this moment, this is Adam Idah and his pass through, which goes through here for Maeda to run onto. He was passing it into space and saying, go, Maeda, you're fast. Let's break the lines this way.
Good vision of the situation, and he knows that Maeda never fault in this situation. He do the job. He will go. He will win the ball. So he trusts in him. So go, and that's perfect. As I said before the podcast, it was the first game. After 5 minutes, I know that all will be fine today. No stress. Just enjoy the game, and that's what happened. So,
yeah. So he crosses the ball, and James E. Forrest in the middle of the goal lane. So he completes the goal scoring for the front three.
Jamesy engaged the afterburners. That little 1 second burst of speed, again, we talked about him being called the best winger at the club. Like, his contribution over these last 4, 5, 6 games has been unreal. I mean, genuine class, genuine quality. And a lot of people questioned why he signed the deal a couple of years ago. But it's worth it for this, because the amount of money was secured with Champions League now. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't listening. I was reading the comments. A bit like Kristoff. Bill says, not happy with the suggestion that we did not win the league. They lost it. Do you mean here? Did we say that, someone?
No,
I think
that's the narrative at the moment, Gav. I think that's how they always have it. And a few people have highlighted online that they're talking about, we lost it at Ross County, we lost it at stuff. They've not beaten us in 90 minutes. We've almost whitewashed them if they hadn't had that last minute goal of the season. Do you know what I mean? That's where they've lost it, because we've been better in those kind of key moments. So no, they've not lost it. We have won it. I mean, there's an argument to say they've thrown it away because they were in the dominant position.
Yeah,
but you can't.
There's an element of that which makes it all the funnier. Because
we were in the dominant position before they were in the dominant position, so there's even another argument to say we were close to throwing it away. But I have heard this narrative that it's two bad teams and we're just the best of two bad teams, but that's just nonsense. And look at the way we played last night. Look at the way we played against Hearts a couple of weeks ago at Celtic Park. Look at the way we played in the first half against Rangers. Celtic have been purring now for a number of weeks. And if you take out the game at Tynecastle, which was a John Beaton VAR masterclass, if you take out that game, our form's been absolutely sensational for weeks now, and fully deserving of a league title. And we're not even in the same ballpark as Rangers at the moment. We're just a far better team with a far better squad.
Yeah, I think when you look at the totality of the season, though, we're a worse off unit than we were last year. Only really in the very end of the season are we looking like the business.
Well, I would argue
so I
that
think we have gone backwards a bit.
Yeah, I would argue that, and I've been arguing all season long that once we get a full team back on the pitch, we'll see what kind of team Celtic are. Now, towards the end of last season, the team's form was on the slide, and there was a few players off form, but we didn't finish the season strongly last year. And coming into this year, a lot of that kind of filtered into this season, coupled with some ordinary recruitment. But you know, we since we've got all our players back from injury and suspension, particularly Hatate, Merida, McGregor, and Cameron Carter-Vickers, we've just looked at a really good team. And I think that's the sort of point that Rodgers has been driving home all season. When we get all these guys back, then you'll see what kind of team Celtic are. And I'm really happy with the form the team showed over the past 5-6 weeks. I think they've been sensational. And the performance last night was just the sort of pinnacle of that. But we've been building to a performance like that for some time now.
And the thing is, it's when they're saying there's two poor teams, we have been inconsistent, right? There's no escaping the inconsistency. Like say, whether it's the injuries, whether it's getting into Rodgers' tactics, whether it's like the kind of maybe ill feeling at the beginning. But we go into every game to try and play entertaining football and win. Now, it might not have come off, but that is the intent, and that's what we've tried to do. Across the city, they've just got a bunch of cloggers, and they just go there to destroy everything. You see the way that they set up against us. So to say they're two poor teams, even if you do follow that narrative, they're a poor defensive, like unentertaining, unattractive long ball team. We've been an inconsistent, de facto poor team that has at least tried to play attacking football, and we've struggled with injuries to key creative players and solid players. So, yeah.
The team that win the league deserve it. Simple. I can't see there ever being a worse Rangers team than this season. We have a lot of players going at last. It's been dreadful, says Concrete Cody Quickfire Maguire. Oh, okay, good point. They haven't been good this season. Who knows what they're going to be next season? You know, it all depends on recruitment.
Well, if they build the team around Cantwell, Gav, I think we'll be all right, because he is mentally weak. And if they're saying that he's the guy that they want, he mishits across and celebrates like Jude Bellingham, please build the team around him, because it's only going to help us.
Well, they're going to be two totally different teams next season, I reckon, anyway. But anyway, let's worry about that another time. 15 minutes, Matt O'Reilly's first goal. Kristoff, is this how cleanly you used to kick the ball when you were playing for your youth team?
Yes. I was left feet, so I do the same things.
Oh,
but not as good as him.
Mm-hmm.
That's
was
the
a beautiful
difference
strike,
between,
wasn't it?
That's the difference between a real football player and me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, zero backlift in that. What a hit.
Such a clean striker of the ball as well, isn't he? I mean, he scored one similar to that against St Johnstone. I don't know if earlier this season or last season, from a very similar position, and he just absolutely laces it. And it's so straight and so true. It just flies into the net like an arrow. And that was, you know, it was the keeper actually was at that side of the goal, but it was behind him before he could even react. So just a fantastic strike.
I think all this also highlights a problem with the kind of player of the year awards, because I appreciate that Shanklin has had a good year. I do. There's no getting away from that. But when you look at the combined goals and assists and actual pivotal game-winning, title-winning like moments that Matt O'Reilly's had, I think you'll be hard pushed, especially if we go on to lift that cup at the end of the season. I think people will look back and go, was Shanklin really the guy that deserved Player of the Year? Because Matt O'Reilly is clear. I mean, I'd even have Joe Hart in second before Shanklin, but I can see the argument for Shanklin being second.
And then O'Reilly only goes and scores another. His 18th goal of the season after Kuhn slipped him in. This was another very cool finish. I mean, the word virtuoso comes to mind when looking at how O'Reilly is playing at the moment. He is just going out on a high, if indeed he's going out. Stephen, have you ever seen someone? When was the last time you remember seeing someone so silky and stylish?
I mean, he looks as if he's got a touch of the Paul McStay's about him, and you can't pay a Celtic midfielder any better higher compliment than that. He's gone from strength to strength, and he just seems to improve with every passing game. Multiple managers now, Ange and Brendan, have both said that he just really wants to learn, and he's dedicated to just making himself the best player he can be. And when you look at the performance last night, his performance levels across the whole season have just been sensational, and it is a little bit farcical and almost laughable that they picked Shanklin in front of him as Player of the Year, because without a doubt, it's Matt O'Reilly's the best player in the country by a country mile. Now it remains to be seen where he ends up next year, whether he stays with us another year or goes. But I think he's destined for the very, very top level, and can play in certainly one of the top 5 leagues in Europe. The only thing that may hold him back a little bit is a little bit of a lack of pace. There was one time in the second half where Kyogo put him in, and he had a chance to run through and go, but just didn't have the pace to do it. So that might hold him back a little bit. But technically, on the ball, his passing, his movement, and his shooting, and his goals and assists, he can go all the way in the game.
I might get a bit ridiculed for it, but I know that the talk was that 2 of the top 6 Premiership teams were interested in him. And look, I'm going to say it, but you wouldn't look at a place in that Man City team, because they don't need the pace. They want someone who can hold on to the ball, make a pass, create, score a goal. O'Reilly's got all of that. And as we've said, he wants to learn, he wants to get better. There's not that many Matt O'Reillys out there that are probably affordable, and Man City don't spend big fees on players. It would not surprise me in the slightest if one of the big 6 that are interested in him is Man City's. But let's see.
Okay, I've got some photographs of Michael out with the players, but I haven't saved them off WhatsApp. How am I going to manage to do that in time to show them? That's a question to which I don't have an answer right now. I don't want to give away everyone's WhatsApp details or something. Not that it would. All right, so 48 minutes, not bad. Well, we've already sort of just touched on whether Matt O'Reilly's going to be off. Are we worried about any other players being off? There was a recent report, was there not, about CCV? And then I picked this up from the training session. I wonder if this worries anyone. All the other players are training while CCV's deep in conversation with the gaffer up at Lennoxtown. Wonder what they're talking about. Let's see. Let's see if we can pick up any clues. There you go. Would you consider going to Turkey for dentistry, Kristoff?
I don't know. Hungary too, maybe.
Are you worried about the likes of CCV and Hatate? We're gonna lose some good players that we don't want to. Surely that happens all the time.
Sure. For sure. That's good. that's football. Football is having losing player. So I hope not the both will go. One maybe. I think Atate will go, but
Summer?
I hope no, because if CCV seen in another club, it will be hard to make reconstruction, all the reconstruction of the defense sector. We need one center back. If we need another center back, it will be hard.
I think the main thing is we now have the Champions League. We're straight into the group stages. We've got the money. So financially, if anyone's going, you would hope they're going for like a big fee that allows us to be able to replace. I don't think we're going to see a massive overhaul of the key players. So for example, I can't see us losing an O'Reilly and a Hatate and a CCV, because I just think that would be too much disruption, especially with Hart going. So I think it'll be a case of, Rodgers might look to Oftet, say, look, maybe you're not off this year. Look, we've got the Champions League. If it's not going well, you can go in January and stuff like that. I think we're in a strong position in a lot of ways to build as opposed to dismantle the team. But at the end of the day, if we've got the problem that both CCV and O'Reilly have got is they've got that passport, they've got that English trained for like if someone wants a squad for Europe and stuff like that. So we'll just need to wait and see. The one thing you're not worried about is getting a good fee for them.
Stephen, are you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think if we have a working, actual, proper trading model in place, then you're looking to proactively sell someone every summer, and probably, hard as it is for us to cope with, harder for it is to square away. Matt O'Reilly's probably the one. He's the one that's at the peak of his game at the moment. He's the one at the peak of his earning potential. And if we're looking to attract the next Matt O'Reilly to the club, then we need to be showing that there is opportunities for a player like Matt O'Reilly to come in at Celtic, play well, catch the eye of the international manager, which he has done, and then move on to a bigger league. But the key thing for me is how much money we get for him. And we shouldn't be dealing at anything under 30 million. We should be looking north of that. We should certainly be breaking the Scottish transfer fee for Matt O'Reilly. But if we're being true to ourselves about having a proper transfer model, understanding where we are in the European football hierarchy, and trying to compete against players in our sort of range. Sorry, teams. In our sort of range. Then we have to be looking to sell players like Matt O'Reilly at the peak of their powers. And I think that this summer's probably the right time to do it. But we have to replace him, and we have to get the next Matt O'Reilly in the door.
Yep. Sorry, just busy saving photographs, which I'll show you now in a second. Yeah. Now, this is last night. This is Michael, our contributor, who somehow always manages to be hanging with the players when they're out boozing. That's him in the background, in case you're wondering which of those two is our boy. There he is again. Look at him behind Bernardo. There he is with Joe Hart. This is good, isn't it? This makes you feel like you're part of it. There he is with Adamida. Is he giving his camera to these guys and saying, "Will you take a photograph with me in the background?" Brilliant. Very good. That's good to have Michael getting in amongst it. Oh, where's everyone gone? It's not all about me, Ian. All right. So, what about the Champions League, though, guys? Have you considered what it's going to be like when the draw is made and we see a list of 8 European clubs that we're going to play against? How cool is that going to be? As opposed to 3 that we play twice. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Or is it 7? No, it's 8. We have 8
See,
matches against
see,
8
we
different
have eight.
clubs.
We have 8 games instead of 6, and all 8 games are against different teams.
That's brilliant.
So it will be brilliant. It'll be great, and that's why. That's why winning the league this year is so significant, because it gets you into that new setup, and with increased revenues, increased exposure, and it's where we should be. It's where we should be every year, and I think it's time that we give ourselves a pat in the back at the moment before we actually start thinking about summer transfer windows. And we've got a cup final to come, but I think the club should be congratulating themselves at the moment about the hard work they've put into this year. It's been a difficult year, but we're here, we're champions again, and we're at the top of the Scottish football tree. So there'll be plenty of time over the summer to think about who we're going to play in the Champions League, and whether we're making the correct recruitment moves to compete in the Champions League. But it's just sitting here today, it's great to just bask in the glory of being there.
Let's all bask. You basking in?
Let's bask.
Yeah. I mean, look, the thing is, it's been that no one can deny it's been a tough season at points like this, and I think even the best of us have doubted what's been going on, whether it's been the transfers, the players that haven't been replaced, the decision to bring back in Brendan Rodgers. Was he getting enough out of what he had? Were his words backing up the actions and stuff? There was so many things, but the one thing, and Stephen said it earlier, barring that Hearts performance, we have really the last couple of months absolutely motored, and the players have come back, and you can see styles of play and stuff which wasn't there at the beginning, and it's taken time. So I think it's a lot of credit has to go to Brendan Rodgers, because it's been difficult, because there's been bandpots like me having a go at him at various stages. The media's been having a go at him. Even inside the stadium, there's been some disgruntled voices and things like that. And he's kept the head. He's kept that squad together. And we've gone with blowing Kilmarnock away. We've seen off Rangers, etc. And he's done the job that he's come in to do. Yes, we've still got the cup final to do, but the big one, we've got that money in the bank now. We get so much money in the bank. We've got the stage. We've got the platform. We've got a massive advantage. Rodgers, 100% the guy to take us forward now. He's earned that opportunity. But the board need to break a habit of a lifetime and give him the players to make an impact in Europe, and also bury them across the city, because they missed the opportunity last time. They've got to go through a big rebuild, and they don't have the money for it. We have got to make sure that we do not miss this summer. Got to make sure of it.
Kristoff, how did you feel when Brendan Rodgers returned, and how much praise do you give him now that he's guided us to the championship?
Brendan Rodgers, when I heard that he will be the coach of Celtic team, I was like that. It's not boring, it's just question of the guy let us half season, the half season that then we can win the 10 in a row. We are in comfortable position when he left us. Today, he make the job. So, but how can I trust in what he said to us? How can I trust him? The guy can tell you, I will be forever a sales, and the day after, going to another city in Europe to train another team. That's the problem. He do the job, that's correct. And as Celtic supporter, I trust in the fact that he will do his best for us when he's in charge. But my confidence in him was bad. I'm sorry, it's just my position, because
No, that's fine. No,
You
go
can't
ahead.
let us in that position in a historical, maybe in a historical year. Like it could be. And
Yes, he caused a lot of pain, but my view is all we have is this moment. You have to live in the moment. I don't trust any football managers or particularly players. So, live for today. And today is a day of great celebration and excitement for what's ahead.
I think
And
the fact of the matter is that if Brendan Rodgers didn't have an affection for Celtic, he wasn't a Celtic supporter, he'd be nowhere near Scottish football. He's just a level above any coach that we can attract to the game, whether it's us or the other mob. And we should all just be thankful that we have him. I understand what everybody said about the circumstances he left the first time. I happen to think that there was context to that in regards to relationships he had with other people within the club. Worryingly enough, one of those guys is currently the chairman. But I think if Celtic treat Rodgers well, if Celtic give him what he needs to make Celtic a success, to take us to where we want to be, then I think Rodgers will be around for a while yet, because he doesn't have to be at Celtic. He would have been offered another job in England, in the Premier League probably, or he could have took a job in Saudi to just cash in and take the easy life. But he's back here. He's winning leagues again. He's doing Brendan things, and I think we should all just be thankful that we've got him.
okay, well, I know Ian's going to have to go very shortly, so we'll just round it off with a little message to say that there was I think I've prepared some words here to help me. Oh, yes. On Monday's show, we played a funny video of angry bears on YouTube, and we remarked on their bad quality beards. There was a comment that came in on Monday's show which has made me chuckle to myself several times since. I'm just out and about in the car or something, and it makes me laugh. So I wanted to give a shout out to the contributor in the chat that came out with that. Do you remember this guy we saw in the video? Well, the comment was Anthill Mob by Strangelove the Doctor. Now, if you don't know who Anthill Mob are, probably Ian's a bit young. It was this cartoon, the wacky races, and the Anthill Mob all had that drawn on stubble. So I thought that was hilarious. Look at the state of this boy's beard. It's just
Poor
far
guy,
too
he's
neat.
taking time in that, and we're ridiculing him. He's probably having a terrible day. This is adding to it now.
Loads of time. Kaiser asked, why would you draw on a ginger beard?
It's a good point.
Yeah,
You've got a
he's
choice.
pretty honest and fair. I'm not taking a mickey out of anything he said. That guy, it's just, that was a funny comment, don't you think? The Anthill Mob. There's the Anthill Mob hanging off the cliff. All right, and on that note, gents, it's been a delight. Stephen and Ian, as always. Special merci to Kristoff. Thank you so much for taking the step over from the comments section onto the main stage. It's been great to have you, Kristoff. You're on mute.
thanks a lot for resizing me. Thanks a lot to all the contributors on the chat. I love you all, really. And thanks, Gavin, for accepting me in your show, in your podcast show.
Of course. It's a Celtic world, and we're all part of it. Until next time, everyone, hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.